So here we are, the very last team of 2022 NFL season recap month. I'm pretty sure you all know who it is, right? Well, of course, the Super Bowl champion. That is right, ladies and gentlemen, Patrick Mahomes and the Kansas City Chiefs. So, once again, the two-time Super Bowl champions. How did they get to this point? Well, let's talk about it, ladies and gentlemen. So, the Kansas City Chiefs heading into 2022 were expected to face perhaps their biggest challenge yet. Not just from its usual suspects in the AFC like the Buffalo Bills and the Cincinnati Bengals, but no, this time around, last offseason, they're facing their biggest challenge from within the AFC West division because the Las Vegas Raiders, the LA Chargers, and even the Denver Broncos all made substantial additions to try and dethrone the team that has gripped the AFC West for 6 consecutive years, especially considering that the Chiefs traded away one Patrick Mahomes' best weapons in Tyreek Hill at receiver, and they didn't do a whole lot finding a suitable replacement for him. They signed Juju Schuster and Marcus Valdes-Scantling, but they weren't top options on their previous teams. So the Chiefs going into the regular season, they were going to find out how the offense would work without a top receiving option and only Travis Kelce. But despite all that, despite some inconsistencies at receiver, Mahomes still found a way to get everybody involved. Still found a way to torch opponents at will. Obviously, Travis Kelce, he is the go-to weapon on offense, but surprisingly, Juju Schuster, Marcus Valdes-Scantling, all those receivers, and when they got at the mid-season point, trading for Kadarius Toney from the New York Giants, and then rookie running back Isaiah Pacheco as a receiver, they all stepped up to the plate, all gained the trust of their MVP quarterback. So it was pretty much, like Golden State Warriors basketball. Like everybody gets the ball back in the day. And then defensively, yeah, they still have their issues from the past few years, including the pass rush this time around, except for Frank Clark and Chris Jones. They're still a good pass rushing duo. But other than that, they couldn't really generate much pressure on the quarterback. In a secondary that gave up one too many plays still, and they sorely missed safety Tyrann Mathieu. But yeah, other than that, Patrick Mahomes is still Patrick Mahomes. He was still carrying that team. And considering the fact that the rest of the AFC West ended up being a massive bust too. The Chargers were still the Clippers, besides Justin Herbert. The Denver Broncos were an absolute massive bust, so bad that Patrick Starr was roasting their ass. And the Raiders were not really that good with Josh McDaniels as their head coach, at least in their first year. So the Chiefs were doing their business, cruised their way to a 7th straight division title, and even though they lost to the Bills and the Bengals in the regular season, they were still keeping pace for that AFC top overall seed, and they nabbed it. So they had that first round bye. They enjoyed it, and when it came to playoff time, they managed to hold off the Jaguars in that first game for their playoff run into the divisional round. But that wasn't the big story for Kansas City. The big story was the injury to Patrick Mahomes. Concern grew in Chiefs world because he suffered a high ankle sprain early in that game. He had to leave in that game. Then he came back in that game. He played through it. But he was clearly a different quarterback. He had to adapt to being a more pocket-like quarterback, being more of like a pocket passer, and less of the one that moved around the pocket, making all these sidearm throws that he usually does. That being said, he embraced the challenge of doing that. He still found a way to get everybody involved, find his receivers. Such as the case was the AFC title game against the Cincinnati Bengals. Finding a way to get everybody involved despite being restricted in the pocket and taking those hits. And somehow, some way, the Bengals defense just couldn't figure him out. And Kansas City's defensive line took advantage of Cincinnati's beat-up offensive line. And just like in the previous year, sacked Joe Burrow countless times and forced him to throw some key interceptions in that game. And in a redemption from last year, The Chiefs wound up winning that AFC title game on a game-winning field goal to advance to Super Bowl 57 against, well, Andy Reid's old team, the Philadelphia Eagles. And in that game against Jalen Hurts and the Eagles, well, yeah, it was a wild game. It was, well, okay game, at least from my perspective. But, I can see how people kind of liked it. They had some serious difficulty not only trying to stop Philadelphia's similarly high-powered offense because, well, Jalen Hurts is a pretty good quarterback. But they also had trouble trying to get their own offense going. And it seemed like their hopes of a third title were going to vanish because when Mahomes left the first half, he was limping. He got his injured ankle crushed and aggravated. But the Chiefs, when they were down 10 at halftime, after Rihanna performed her halftime show, it seemed like Mahomes' magic found its luster because Mahomes showed no signs of pain. He was running out of the pocket, and he led the Chiefs to a 21-3 rally in the second half to get them back in the game, take the lead, and sure, the Eagles fought back, but the Chiefs held them off despite an anticlimactic ending with that holding call. So the Chiefs would outlast the Eagles to win their third overall Super Bowl title and their second title in 3 years. So overall, I guess it's fair to say that we were all wrong. We were definitely all wrong to doubt the Kansas City Chiefs. This year was a masterclass. It was a real masterclass by Mahomes. I'll admit that. He managed to find ways to get everyone involved on offense, and as a result, both he and the whole offense came in clutch when it mattered most. He did pretty much all of it, despite he also not having a top receiver, not named Travis Kelce, and on a bum ankle. Credit to the defense too, because they got in some key stops as well, and as a result, the reward they get their second ring in 3 years. Patrick Mahomes gets a second league MVP and a second Super Bowl MVP. So the Chiefs are proven once again they're the alpha team to beat in the AFC. And despite a few losses already in the offseason, they look sure primed, ready for a title defense in 2023. So looking at some of the moves that have happened for the defending champs this offseason, it was a little weird when they released Frank Clark at defensive end, but they signed another one in Charles Omenihu from the 49ers. So, like I said, if one comes in, the other goes out. And they did lose tackle Orlando Brown Jr. to the Cincinnati Bengals, but here's the thing. When one comes out, the other comes in because they signed Jawan Taylor from the Jacksonville Jaguars. So they're pretty much all immediately finding guys, impact guys that can come in and fill in the gaps, fill in the blanks, and try to make that run again happen for the Chiefs. So they also lost Juju Smith-Schuster to the Patriots, so unfortunately they couldn't fill in the gap quite yet. They did sign a safety by the name of Mike Edwards from the Tampa Bay Bucks, so that should help a little bit for the Chiefs secondary, as long as they know how to play defense. And linebacker Drew Tranquil from the Chargers. So some things that the Chiefs still need to do to prepare for the title defense if they want to get to that point. And I say the biggest one being is that they have to find a top receiver in this draft. Like, they really do. Because even though Patrick Mahomes found a way to make the passing game work, despite having no top name receiver besides Travis Kelce this past season, I don't think it'll work long term. Sure, maybe it will this season. I'm being hypocritical about that, but I don't think it could be a long term thing. They're gonna have to find someone that's really good, that they believe can be a really good receiver at the very tail end of the draft, or maybe in round 2. Who knows? That's where they found Tyreek Hill. But they're gonna have to find someone that can be Patrick Mahomes, new go-to receiver, number one receiver, and that process should start on draft day. They should also find another defensive tackle that should go alongside Chris Jones. Even though they have a new ally in Charles Omenihu, Chris Jones could, still use some help along the interior to tackle from within. And I would say try to find something at corner in the draft. Now, it doesn't have to be like a starter or anything, but, rookie Trent McDuffie could use some help. He was solid, but, could still use some help because for as good Patrick Mahomes is, the Chiefs secondary still remains one of the biggest weaknesses in Andy Reid's team, especially in pass defense. I mean, it doesn't hurt. It really doesn't hurt. So, in spite of some of the challenges on offense, Patrick Mahomes and company made it all work. And what was the reward? An MVP campaign for Mahomes and another Super Bowl title for the Chiefs in 2022. Now, some people were calling these Chiefs a dynasty awaiting to happen when they won Super Bowl 57. I'm not calling it quite yet a dynasty. Maybe if they win the next one, whenever that is, maybe we can do that. Well, congratulations, Chiefs Kingdom. You're Super Bowl champions. It's on to 2023. Everyone's going to be gunning for you. But regardless, they're the reigning, defending, undisputed Super Bowl champions. And the Chiefs will be ready to defend their kingdom and try to win it all again this coming fall. So, congratulations.